Was a girl running in a group. She had a high-speed motor in a 40 Ford coupe. She had a racing cam and a supercharged. Look at Buddy, hot rod and large. She's a hot rod. She's a hot rod.
Got a recall here yet? We're still doing recalls, and I can't go a week without a Takata airbag problem. And the General Motors is going to recall nearly 6 million trucks and SUVs with Takata airbags despite their disagreement with the NHTSA. They're at war with the NHTSA just a little bit, it looks like. Well, I can read it to you what Automotive News says about it. The NHTSA is forcing General Motors to recall nearly 6 million full-size SUVs and pickup trucks equipped with Takata airbag inflators. The order comes after 4 years of GM insisting that the airbag inflators were safe, even as the rest of the industry rolled out the largest automotive recall in history. So, General Motors, you're not exempt. You're not exempt. These Takata airbags are in everybody's trucks and cars, and that's not the problem. The problem is you don't know if your airbags are good. You cannot come out and say, I got great airbags, they're fine. No, they're not. You don't know that for sure. If they're made by Takata, you got a 50-50 chance. It's either going to work or it's not. Or it's either going to explode or it's not. It's going to work. Or it may not work at all. You need to get them changed. They fought for 4 years dragging it out. I wonder how many people have been hurt. Well, we'll find out. Denso is adding another 1.5 million fuel pumps to the recall for possible failure. Oh my God. Denso, it's a Japanese import. Nippon Denso was the original company. It's Denso now. In April, the recall report filed with the NHTSA, the Japanese auto parts supplier, flagged more than 2 million fuel pumps because an impeller in some low-pressure fuel pumps may become deformed under certain conditions. In total, about 3.5 million fuel pumps are being recalled by Denso. If you own an import vehicle, an Asian import, and you've had to pay to have a fuel pump replaced, save your receipts, get them sent in. You can get some money back. You got some money coming. I'm telling you, you do. The NHTSA opens a probe into 115,000 Teslas over suspension issue. See, Tesla never wants to admit they're having a recall. They'll do it. They're recalling. They're making the car safe. I'm not saying that they're not making the car safe. They just won't come right out and say, oh, yeah, well, we messed up. We built some bad cars. The NHTSA on Friday said it opened an investigation into around 115,000 Tesla vehicles over a front suspension safety issue. The auto safety regulator said it was opening a preliminary evaluation into 2015 to 2017. So these are 5 years old now. Model S and the 2016 to 17 Model X, after having received 43 complaints alleging failure to the left or right front suspension. So this thing goes either way. It could be left or right side. Apparently these suspension arms are bad. Tesla in February 2017 issued a service bulletin describing a manufacturing condition that may result in front suspension FORE-link, F-O-R-E link failures. Yeah, okay. I know these cars. I know what's going on with it. The 2017 service bulletin said some vehicles have front FORE-links that may not meet Tesla's strength specifications. Yeah, in other words, they got some cheap ones and put them in there. In the event of a link failure, the driver can still maintain control of the vehicle, but the tire may contact the wheel arch liner, the inner liner. Well, how do you keep control? If you're doing 60 mile an hour and you get a tire that buckles like that, how are you going to keep control? Who are they kidding? How are you going to keep control? The NHTSA said 32 complaints involved failures that occurred driving at low speed and parking maneuvers, while 11 occurred while driving. Another 8 complaints may have also involved by the same issue. They have their moments, and Tesla never wants to admit to anything. They just don't want to say, well, yeah, we made a bummer, and it's kind of yuck. It's not no good. It's a no good. Hyundai and Kia have agreed. Now, here's another one dragging their feet. Listen to this. A $210 million U.S. auto safety civil penalty. The National Highway Traffic and Safety Administration, NHTSA, said that the 2 affiliated Korean automakers agreed to consent orders after the agency said they had inaccurately reported some information to NHTSA regarding the recalls. Dragging their tootsies. It's critical that manufacturers appropriately recognize the urgency of their safety recall responsibilities and provide timely and candid information to the agency, NHTSA, about all the safety issues, said NHTSA Deputy Administrator James Owens. In other words, they weren't weren't doing the recalls. They were kind of doing them. Well, we'll get to that in a minute. We'll get there.
How do you kind of do it?
Well, you got Eric. When you know how much money you can save in just a week of not doing a recall. 1 week. How many cars are in crashes and go to the junkyard? Mm-hmm. How many cars blow an engine and go to the junkyard? Mm-hmm. These are all cars you don't have to fix. Once the cars are gone, you don't have to fix them, Eric. So this is what they do. They drag their feet. And the longer they drag their feet, the less cars they have to fix. Yes.
Makes sense.
Smart little guys, ain't they? The NHTSA said Thursday it identified, this is sad, the 18th U.S. death by Takata airbag inflator. Here at General Motors, check this out. After the review of a recent BMW crash. Now, I got to tell you, this is the first reported Takata death that I know of in a BMW. It says right here, it was the first death in a BMW vehicle after 15 deaths in a Honda and 2 in Ford Motor Company. Ford Motor Company had the Rangers. They had a couple of older Rangers, the 2005 and 6 Ford Rangers that were blowing up. So General Motors, don't tell me that you don't have bad airbags. Don't sit there and say that your airbags are safe while nobody else's are. This is just not right, and it's wrong on a couple of different sides. First of all, if it's a national recall ordered by the NHTSA, chop, guys, go to work, get it done. Expediently perform the duties of the recall. If this is a recall where there are deaths involved, chop, guys. The faster the better. And don't sit there and try and say, well, our airbags are fine. We don't know about anybody else's, but our airbags are just fine. Because they're not. This is not going to wash. I guarantee in General Motors now, and they're going to end up with a fine just like these poor guys, Hyundai and Kia. I tell you what, that's an upcoming car. Hyundai and Kia. When they first came out, they were throwaways. They were cheap. They blew up. If they rusted out, you threw it away, wrote it off. You could drive that car for 5 years and write it off, and throw it in the garbage, and that's what they used to do with them. But now they are an up and coming car. The new Hyundais and Kias are really sharp. They've got some great SUVs. They've done a lot with their motors. They're so convinced that their motors and transmissions, their drivetrains, are that tight and that good, they give a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty on the drivetrain, which nobody else you'll see is offering. I take that back. I think Chrysler offers it on a couple vehicles, and I think General Motors offers it on a couple vehicles, but I haven't heard Ford even think about it. Nobody's coming out with a 100,000-mile warranty, Eric, because they can't stand behind their cars. And they want to make sure that, of course, especially General Motors with their V6s now, They want planned obsolescence. Once it's out of warranty, if it blows up, you got to buy a new car. They want you to come back and buy another car, whether you buy one of theirs or not. I guess that remains to be seen. I don't know. If you blow up a motor, are you going to go back and buy another one?
But I was about to say, but that should backfire though. At the end, like you just mentioned right now, like even
yeah,
if they
I
don't buy their same car, you know, you're still buying a new car for what? Like if you buy,
yeah, I don't get it. I really don't.
you just defeat the whole purpose of you.
But
of
this
them
is the
getting
way
a car.
they think. This is the planned obsolescence is the way they think. And they want to make sure that you have to go out and buy a new car eventually. So, hey, we're not going to recall that until it's too late. We've been just now got through all the recalls. It took the first two segments, Eric, to get through all the recalls. My goodness, that's a bunch.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Now we got to take a little trip through the car world here because there's just a bunch of stuff to talk about.
Let's do it. 2 weeks worth.
Well, I know, and we've been, and I always talk about these electric cars and autonomous driving. They're making for some strange bedfellows. In other words, you've got companies that are in bed together making cars and doing autonomous diagnostics and engineering and production that they're working together that you would have never thought they'd work together before. I mean, you see, people are, and you got to watch out for the startups. I have a problem with the startups. You know that. I'm not a Fisker fan. I'm not a fan of any of these guys if they are not going to build a vehicle. Okay, I've seen this before. Probably 5 years ago when the DOE, Department of Energy in America, had all this money to loan. And they were loaning out money for cars, electric car companies that were starting up. And Fisker got a fistful is what he got. And he never built a car. He sold it to the Chinese. The Chinese are building cars under that name. And Fisker's starting up a new one and he wants to get some money together. But I'm pretty sure the government told him no this time. But there are other ones. Rivian comes to mind. Mahindra is building an electric car. They want to build the post office vehicle. And so do these people. Nikola. Well, now General Motors previously had crawled into bed with Nikola, and they were going to build their electric car for him. Well, that's all over with. I told you, strange bedfellows make for strange divorces, Eric, and that's just how it works. General Motors and Nikola Corporation on Monday announced a reworked, smaller agreement, that keeps the fuel cell partnership intact, and nobody wants to let go of that fuel cell thing, but eliminates an equity stake in the startup for the Detroit automaker, as well as plans for building Nikola's electric pickup truck. So Nikola is a pickup truck company that doesn't have a factory. They just have a board of directors and a safe full of somebody's money. Under the new agreement, GM will not take part or not take an equity stake in Nikola as originally planned. We don't need any more of your stock. They got stock of everybody else's. GM will supply its fuel cell system for Nikola's Class 7 and Class 8 commercial semi-trucks, Nikola said. The companies are also discussing Nikola's potential use of GM's Ultium electric battery system in its commercial trailers. Now, the deal is Nikola is going to build semis and they're going to build small delivery trucks, and General Motors was going to go to bed with them, and they're going to use the fuel cell, hydrogen. They're going to have hydrogen-powered vehicles and the fuel cell system for these big semis, which I think is a much better deal for semis because you still have all the same powers that you had. You have the same engines, basically. It's like running on a gas engine, but it runs on hydrogen, and the only thing it throws out the tailpipe is a little bit of water. So that's actually a pretty good deal for the semis. Now, for the local delivery vans, big vans, if they're going to compete, they're going to have to go all electric. And General Motors says, well, we'll let you use our platform, but we're not going to build them for you. So now Nikola is an electric car company that doesn't have a car plant. They're going to have to get one or find another bedmate. There's another startup, Gatik, Gatik, and they're loading up on the groceries. These guys, they have a range of trucks here, and they have everything you can think about, mostly van type things. And they're big in the delivery system for autonomous. Even before the pandemic struck, Gautam Narang says, this guy Narang, says that the self-driving truck company he co-founded 3 years ago had gained momentum. with its customers. This is Gatik is the company he formed. But since COVID-19 arrived, stretched supply chains and accelerated growth of delivery trends with customers, Narang said, he's the CEO of Gatik, says interest in autonomous goods hauling has mushroomed like a mushroom cloud, like a atomic bomb, and it has. I mean, I'm even having groceries delivered now because I'm laid up a little bit. The pandemic changed everything, he said. We saw a huge spike in the number of orders that our vehicles were fulfilling. The number of runs we were doing to our customers. We've expedited our deployments. We've added vehicles ahead of schedule. I don't know how they're doing that. Nobody's got any vans for sale. Maybe they're making their own. It looks like they might be. They don't look like anything I've ever seen before. Gatik added to that momentum last week, signing a contract with another major partner. Yeah, here we go to bed. The company will be hauling goods for Loblaw Coast, the largest Canadian food retailer, in January. They're going to start hauling groceries up north, Eric, up to the Canucks. Gatik will deploy 5 of its Ford Taurus 350 box trucks, so they are using somebody else's trucks, in the partnership, running them on 5 routes between delivery hubs and retail stores as often as 12 hours per day, 7 days a week. Well, if you don't have to pay anybody to steer the doggone thing, all you got to do is run it. It's electric. Charge it up. The company is already delivering goods for Walmart in Arkansas. There you are. The latest partnership gives Gatik another foothold amid increasing competition in the self-driving trucking realm. So they're more into the smaller delivery, localized delivery, and I saw a list of their trucks here, and there's nothing bigger than a straight bed. They're mostly small vans and stuff. But they're again another startup.